Cadenzas are often the most difficult section in a concerto because that's when the orchestra suddenly stops playing and all of the attention from the audience is focused just on you, the soloist. It can be a very vulnerable moment and can often feel like you're naked in front of thousands of people. To add in another twist, cadenzas of the past were often left unwritten by the composer. So as a soloist, you'd be expected to improvise or at least come with your own pre-written cadenza. Now, as a professional soloist, I'm here to save you your time by going through a list of all the most played violin cadenzas and ranking them from easiest to hardest so you know which ones to practice. Okay, so I have here a tier list filled with concertos and cadenzas. Let's just say D tier would take me a day to practice it, to master it. C can be a week. B, let's say, I don't know, 1 month. A could be like 6 months. S tier could be 1+ years. Starting first, Beethoven, first movement, cadenza by Leopold Auer and Heifetz. Just starts with thirds and then kind of goes into that little a little callback to the beginning part where it has that this part. Yeah, that's what cadenzas traditionally do, right? They call back, hearken to earlier themes, passages that happen in the concerto, and then there's like a development that happens, rearranging. Keys could be inverted in terms of the shape of the phrase. It's really cool. I think this one is not so difficult. A few passages here and there, but this could be done in, I would say, a week. You could probably do this if you practice. So next up we have the same Beethoven Violin Concerto, now the Kreisler cadenza. Let's take a quick listen to this. I don't think it's too difficult. I haven't heard anything in the beginning that makes too much of a challenge. Let's skip over to the section of the triplets and see how that is. Wow. Call back to the intro, exposition, where the orchestra plays this, It always sounds so cool when one instrument can play multiple voices, especially on the violin, right? Pianists can do that all the time. Yeah, we get it. We're able to kind of do contrary motion on the violin, probably around the same, just have different kinds of difficulties to deal with. I would put the Kreisler one at a higher level difficulty in terms of the musicianship, but the Heifetz one, Leopold Auer one, has a higher difficulty in terms of maybe the technique. Gosh, maybe I should rearrange these. Maybe it's not 1 month, but maybe 2 weeks. Okay, the Kreisler would take 2 weeks. Let's change this here to 1 month. No cadenza is gonna take like more than 6 months to practice. Moving on, Mozart, Franko, first movement, concerto number 3. I think Itzhak Perlman made this really popular. Even to this day, whenever I'm warming up on an instrument, I'll always play this theme. And this call and response. Mozart's concertos typically aren't that sentimental, especially in his first movements. Franko writes after this celebration, he gets really melancholic. Quite dramatic as well. I think that this one should only take a week to learn. Again, remember that these time frames are based upon my own ability. Please take that with a grain of salt. Just multiply that by whatever you need, or maybe divide it. Who knows? You could be a prodigy watching this. Moving on to the next Mozart Concerto number 3 cadenza. This one's by Leopold Auer. I'm not familiar with, but let's give it a try. If I can sight read it, it means that it's probably learnable very, very quickly. I just tried to search a professional playing this cadenza, and I couldn't find one. There might be a reason for that. It's kind of a bit too random, you know? When I'm thinking about a cadenza, I'm also thinking about the melody as well. Oftentimes you'll hear in the previous cadenzas, it starts in the major key, especially if it's a major concerto, and then it goes into this like minor sound. I like that concept. I just don't think it's done very well here. Okay, I'm just completely changing this tier list. No longer 6 months. All right, there we go. Not advisable. The next one we have, also Mozart Concerto number 3. This one's my own cadenza. Haha. But then I go, whoa, unexpected. And then I respond. And then it goes into this minor key. It's the same concept, but the execution has, as you've noticed, is done differently. This one also has a lot of surprises in it. Do a sudden stop and then turn to minor. And then major. I wouldn't rank this one too difficult. Probably next to the San Franco. This cadenza was one of the first that I wrote for myself, started arranging. I wouldn't even say that I composed because, you know, you're kind of rearranging what Mozart's already written. Writing a cadenza, it's an invitation from the composer. And so you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to let you down, Mozart, please. You're doing your best, but the only real way to find out whether or not it's good is to test it in front of people. Something that I wish that I had Tonic for. This place where you can open a virtual practice room. You can invite people to listen to you, give encouragement, give you feedback on your cadenza, or even on your entire performance, and it's all under the context of practice. It's for musicians around the world of all different levels, all different instruments. So if this sounds interesting to you, you should definitely give it a try by downloading it from this QR code on the screen, or follow the link in my description below. Moving on, Mendelssohn Violin Concerto First Movement Cadenza. Our first example actually of a pre-written cadenza by the composer. This particular one is the one that everyone plays. Exit is the... You get the idea. Could be my own orchestra. I think it would take 2 weeks. Tricky passage. Arpeggios in the beginning. The trills. Okay, 2 weeks, just because I love the Mendelssohn. I want you guys to practice a little bit more. Moving onwards, Joachim's, Mozart Concerto number 4, Speak of the Devil. We were just talking about Joseph Joachim. Even though I wrote my own cadenza from Mozart's 4, I don't play it because I don't think it's that good. I'm gonna put that in the not advisable column myself. I wish it could be better. Just delicious. 2 weeks. The Sauret cadenza. Everyone knows the Sauret cadenza exists for Paganini. I actually didn't know that this one exists for Mozart. From looking at the sheet music, I can already tell that there's more notes in it than any other cadenza I've seen. Wish me luck. Also more romantic sounding, eh? This is a Paganini insertion into Mozart. It would definitely be a flex cadenza, at least at 1 month. Nothing is costing us 1 day of practice. Oh, I spoke too soon. We have the Bruch Violin Concerto First Movement here. You can't even call it a cadenza, it's just the opening. It's very short in this one. I think it would just take a day. Okay, 2 to 3 days. My tier list, my rules. Moving on, Mozart Concerto number 5. I just realized that I did a major brain fog moment earlier. I was playing the Mozart Concerto number 5 Joachim. and I thought it was the number 4. Put that one back and put the Mozart number 5 back in the 2 weeks, because that's what I actually meant. Mozart number 4, first movement, take 2. This one is, yeah, up there, 2 weeks. I think you need 2 weeks for this one. Oh, to the fun stuff. Brahms, Violin Concerto, first movement, cadenza. There's basically 2 cadenzas, Joachim or the Kreisler. Starting with the Joachim, I love it because it has just the beginning part that starts just like opening entry point to the violin solo. This one has the same, but he's modulated to a major key. Then you start with these awful tenths. There's a lot of flex moments in this. The flexiest part is this part. Always sounds like, wow, it's just such a cool, non-violinistic, I must add, moment. Very piano-like writing, because that's the way Brahms thought of music. He himself played the piano. Up here, 1 month, maybe even 1 month plus. Let's listen to a little bit of the Kreisler, because I'm not as familiar with that one. Wow, this one's even tougher, more virtuosic. It was kind of like our earlier comparison with the 2 Beethoven. The Kreisler one had more, I'd say, musicality in terms of difficulty. Now this one has more technique in terms of difficulty. Oh my gosh, or maybe I'm just being biased because I haven't learned it yet. This is a cadenza I definitely feel like is a pretty big challenge. Kreisler is saying, okay, you've finally graduated, you've learned the Joachim, you've learned Brahms' concerto. Congratulations. Now try this. I realize I need to have a separate tier. Not advisable or deaf. Okay, there we go. That just means you'll die trying. We've got the Dvorak first movement. That's not really a cadenza. It's kind of like the same thing as the Bruch. It's just got this opening passage where the orchestra doesn't play. And then it's got this crazy arpeggio. Most people could probably do it in, I would say, 1 week. Hadyn. Okay, this one is written by, I think, 2 people, David and Alard. Anyone want to write a cadenza with me? This is pretty intense. I see some tenths as well. I'm beginning to understand the structure. I think it's really well written, actually. Appears to be more difficult than it actually is. And those are the cadenzas that you really want to take notice of. I would say 1 week, it can make you appear really good. The next 2, oh God, Paganini, the Sauret versus the Wilhelmj cadenzas. I'm just gonna put that, that's death. That's death right there. The violinists who are willing to take that challenge, they mostly do cuts in it. There's a really famous recording of Philip Hirschhorn, winner of the Queen Elizabeth competition, the same competition I won, but back in 1967. He's crazy. I remember attempting to learn this when I was 19. I had to give up. I had to give up halfway. It just didn't work. I was just so lost. There are these crazy arpeggios. Ah, that's so humbling to hear that. And he did it in a competition too. Prove that you can fly or you crash and you get punished for it. So much respect for Philip Hirschhorn. He was a great violinist. It's definitely not the one that I play when I perform. I play the Wilhelmj, which is a lot friendlier. I mean, it's still difficult. It's still Paganini, right? But I would put that at like, if I focused on it, yeah, 1 month would be enough. All right, Shostakovich, first movement. Let's go through the last ones real quick. That's an epic concerto. It's very intellectual, written by Shostakovich himself, so there aren't really other choices. You just play it, but definitely highly advised. Sibelius, first movement. Ooh, this is also another one that's written by the composer. I think if you're practicing your scales, your arpeggios, you'll handle it pretty well. This one's a little easier, I think. I think this one's probably like a 2-week. Tchaikovsky, first movement. Oh, very smooth entry point. If you're playing these big romantic concertos, Tchaikovsky is a really fun concerto to play. 2 weeks, maybe. Yeah, I don't think you need a month. Vieuxtemps 4, Vieuxtemps 5 look scary, but they actually fit really well into the hand. If you're thinking of improving your technique, I would definitely approach these concertos. The concerto number 4, Cadenza, is a tiny bit more difficult than the 5th one, but not by much, not by much. Yeah, you'll definitely enjoy practicing those. And finally, the Viottis, they're written by different people though, so we've got David and Alard again versus the Joachim cadenza. Oh, I actually am unfamiliar with both. This kid is playing it really well. Give him a shout out. His name is Chen Yang, and he's doing really well. He's nailing it. Thanks, Jen, for introducing me to this cadenza. Will probably take a week for me to learn. Let's take a listen to the Joachim and see how that's like. Wow. Also, shout out to Jihye Sophie Yun. She's playing it really well as well. Thank you for introducing us all to these cadenzas. A little easier, shorter as well. The other one is a lot longer, so okay, 2 weeks for the other one, for the David and Alard, and then 1 week for the Joachim. All right, well, let me know what you thought of these cadenzas. There were definitely ones which I had no idea existed, as well as ones that have been very, very familiar. Let me know in the comments which ones you knew or which ones you'd like me to take a look at, and maybe I'll start playing them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this tier list, check out my other tier list videos that I've made about concertos, ranking them, also ranking the Paganini caprices, all 24. Until then, I'll see you in the next video or in your practice room in Tonic. Bye!